Hello, I'm Paul Carroll, technical writer for Digital Photo Magazine, and welcome to this video tutorial where we're going to be taking a closer look at the best piece of software that's currently available for converting your raw image files, and that's Adobe's Lightroom 3. In this month's issue, we've had a really big group test looking at 8 different solutions for working with raw images, and the recently released Lightroom 3 came out on top of the tree. That's because it's a truly great tool, as it offers a complete workflow solution, right from importing your images to outputting them. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is import some images. Dead simple, all we need to do is click on the import button, and that's going to launch the completely new import interface. Now, I've already got a memory card plugged into my computer, but you can see on the left hand side here we've got a source menu, and that's going to allow us to configure exactly where our files are that we want to import. So you can see that I've got a list of the different drives on my computer here. There's the C drive and the D drive, and we've also got my memory card which is connected to the computer. Then in the center here we've got the images that are on that selected drive. You can see that I've highlighted that selected drive, and we've got a number of options at the top, so we can copy these files as DNGs. At the moment these are in the Nikon RAW file format. We can copy them as the more universal DNG format. We can just copy them as is. We can move them, and we can add them to the catalogue. So on the right hand side here we've got our file handling options. So we've got file renaming. So do I want to rename these files as I import them? Yes, why not? So let's rename them and give them a custom name. So you can see as I go through we've got loads of different options. I'm just going to select custom name sequence there. I'm just going to type in here band shoot. So that's going to rename the files as I copy them over. I also want to determine where they're going to go on my computer. So under this destination menu here, I can determine exactly where they're going to go. So I want them to go into my image library. So let me just find that on this list of drives here. So it's going to be under the VIO, and let's have a look. It's on the desktop. There we go, image library. So I've determined where they're going to come from. What we're going to do to the files, we're going to copy them, so they'll remain on my memory cards. I'm going to have a second copy. I'm going to rename the files as they import, and they're going to go into my image library, and I'm going to import them into a subfolder. So I'm going to put in here band shoot and click import. Right, so now Lightroom goes off, imports those images, copies them over, renames them for me, and sticks them into my library module. Now, just while it's importing, I'll talk you quickly through how Lightroom works. Basically, it's split up separate modules, which guide you right through the raw workflow process. So we've got the library module. That's where we're going to catalog, star rate, keyword tag our images, all those type of things. Then we've got the develop module. That's where we're going to apply our raw adjustments. And then we've got 3 modules which are all concerned with outputting the raw file. So we can output them as a slideshow, into print, or a web gallery. Okay, so with all of those RAWs imported, we can now start the process of editing and then developing the RAW files. So in the library module here, we've got a number of different options at the bottom for previewing our files. So at the moment, we're in the thumbnail view, and as you can see, I can see small thumbnails of all of the images that I've imported. Those images that I have imported are now in my folders. So you can see on the left hand side here we've got a list of the different folders that we've imported into Lightroom, and at the moment obviously I've only got one folder imported, but as you use the Lightroom 3 as a workflow tool you'll get more and more folders, and it's a really easy way of navigating your file. We've also got a really handy thing called collections, which I'll come on to a little bit later on. So down the bottom here we've got our thumbnail view. As I said, we can also view images individually, and just hover over the image there, and you can see I get the zoom tool up. So all I need to do is just click with the zoom tool. That's going to zoom me right into 100%, so I can check the sharpness. Again, just click and that zooms me back out to full screen. Click on the thumbnail view, and if I select a couple of images, we've also got this compare view, so that allows us to compare images side by side, and again we can zoom right in and check sharpness of the 2 images to see which one is going to make the cut. and we've also got a survey view which allows us to compare more than two images side by side with them selected. Okay, so let's go through the process of editing these images and selecting which ones that I want to develop. There's a number of ways of doing this. There's a number of different filters that we can use. For example, you've got the star rating filters, so that's just simply pressing numbers 1 to 5 on the keyboard. So I quite like this image down here, so I'm going to give that a rating of 5 stars by simply pressing 5 on the keyboard. I'm going to go a bit further down. We've got 3 very similar images here. Quite like the composition of that one, so again I'm going to hit 5 on the keyboard. That star rates that one 5. Let's go a bit further down. Got a nice wide angle shot here of the band and some members of the audience watching, so let's give that one a 5. I want to develop that one a little bit later on. Nice one here, so I give that one a 5. So as you can see, you can just go through and rate your images. The other rating options that are available there's color tags, so that's pressing numbers 6 through to 9. You can give them different labels, so there we go, we've got red, yellow, green, blue. Then in addition to all of those rating options, there's also keywording, so you can keyword all of the images from a shoot. So for example, if I just select all of my thumbnails there, I just press Control and A on the keyboard to select them all, and in my keywords tag panel I can just give them a keyword. We'll assign it band, and you can see we've got a little icon in the corner there which symbolises that they've all been keyworded. We can then add virtual copies of these files into collections or smart collections. So I'll just really quickly show you how they work. If I just maximize our smart collections list here, you can see we've already got some presets in here. So we've got color red, 5 stars. So any images that I've rated 5 stars, as you saw earlier, I rated 4 of these images from the shoot 5 stars. Virtual copies have automatically been added into that smart collection. So it's a really great way of bringing together some of the best images from across your whole image library. And if I wanted to create my own smart collection, all I'd need to do is just click on the plus symbol there, go down to create smart collection, and I'll call this one 5-star band shots. We can assign some rules to the smart collection. So first off, we got our rating. So we need our rating to be equal to, greater than or equal to 5 stars. Okay, and then we want to add a second criteria, and in this criteria I want the keyword contains all, we'll put in there band. Just click on the create button, and that's going to create a 5-star band shot. So if I do a lot of gig photography, a lot of band photography, best images from the shoot, I rate 5 stars. I keyword them all with the word band, and then virtual copies will be automatically added into my 5-star band shots smart collection. There's also a whole host of library filters up at the top of the screen here. So we've got things like text, attribute, metadata. So again, you can filter the images in your entire library just to bring through onto screen the images that you want to work with for a raw conversion. Okay, so I'm going to concentrate on this image here to work on. So if I just zoom out, and then I'll move over into the develop module to start the raw conversion process. So the first thing is we've got a much larger preview now on the left hand side of the screen here. We've also got a hidden set of panels on the left. So this is you can see we've got our smart collections here, and down the bottom of the screen the image thumbnail strip stays on screen no matter what module that we're in. So once you've selected in the library module the folder of images that you want to work with, whether it be directly from your image library or folders from your smart collections, those thumbnails are always on screen, so you can choose between the images that you want to work on. Okay, so let's just minimize that and we get a slightly larger preview. And then down the right hand side, this is where all of the different raw conversion controls are housed. So the most fundamental controls for a raw conversion are housed under this basic tab. If I just click on the downward arrow there and maximize the tab, I'm just going to minimize the histogram so you can see all of the controls. And it's in here that we can either fine-tune an exposure just with some subtle adjustments to the exposure slider, darken the blacks with the black slider, maybe add a little more depth to the tonal range with the clarity slider, or add some saturation, or you can really go mad and radically alter an image, as you can see there. And again, as you can see, as I adjust the slider, the previews are refreshing in real time, which makes it a really intuitive program to use. You've also got control of the colour in here, the white balance, so you've got things like the temperature slider, a list of presets there for different lighting conditions, as well as the white balance sampler. Lightroom offers a lot more control than just these basic adjustments though. For starters, we can crop the image, so I've just pressed R on the keyboard there to bring up the crop. You can see we've got an image, a grid overlay there. We can rotate our crop, so I'm just going to square it up with the window there. I think I'll place our musician on the right hand third here, so let's just crunch that down a little bit. There we go. Press enter to apply the crop, and we've also got a whole host of selective or localized adjustment tools up here just above the basic palette. So we've got the adjustment brush, and that's going to allow us to paint exposure, brightness, contrast, saturation, clarity, sharpness or color adjustments directly into the file. And we've also got a graduated filter, which allows us to apply the same type of adjustment but using a filter. So let me just quickly show you how this could be used. So I'll use this, the graduated filter and the adjustment brush. Let's just set that saturation to 0. Let's drop our exposure down to -4, make a radical change. So let's just go ahead and drag that one in there. You can see that I've lost that that lighter area on the left of the frame. I'm just going to apply the same thing on the right of the frame here. There we go. I'm just doing this quite quickly, but if I then shift over into our adjustment brush, again I'm on -4, and there we are. I'm now just painting with my adjustment brush. I just need to sort out my my brush here. Like, I can configure my paint brush down the bottom, so I had the flow set quite low, so I wasn't painting very quickly into the file. So there we go. Look, you see I'm just painting in exposure, just darkening down this area, really making our musician stand out. I'm just going to do this really quickly. You'd want to take a bit more time if you were doing it yourself, but you get the idea of the power of Lightroom. Just have to wait for the file to render there. So you can see I'm just going ahead and painting adjustments, holding down the space bar there, just to move around, scroll around with the image, and then I can continue to paint away. So I'd go all the way around these dark areas here, making them jet black, and that's going to really make our musicians stand out from the background. There we go. There's no need for me to do this too neatly, but you get the idea. Actually, I do just want to finish this off because it's annoying me ever so slightly leaving it like that. So let's just do it really quickly. There we go. I'm using the program on a laptop. It's not as fast as when I use it on my iMac. You do need a reasonably powerful PC or Mac to run the program, so make sure you check out the minimum system requirements before you go and purchase the program. So there we go. That's looking a bit better now. Our musicians are really standing out from the background. There's 3 other localized adjustment tools up here. So we've got red eye reduction, we've got spot removal, that's just for cleaning up any dust or scratch marks, and you can turn off the crop overlay. Okay, so that's the basic and the localized adjustments covered, but there's loads more functionality. You've got access to the tone curve here for really precise adjustments to the tonal range. We can also adjust the individual hue, saturation and luminance channels. So you can see here we've got each of the color channels, so we can make very precise adjustments to the different colors in the image. We've also got a black and white option, so simply click on black and white and it makes a conversion for us. And again, we've got access to all of the color channels, so we can really control the contrast of our mono effect. If you are working in mono and you like your advanced mono and toning techniques, there's a great split toning panel here. Allows you to control the highlights and the shadows separately. So let's select some yellow for our highlights and some blue for our shadows. We can control the hue of those colors or the saturation. So let's pump up the saturation of the yellow and knock down the saturation of the blue. Gives a sort of classy split tone effect. Now, pretty much all of those options and features that we've just looked at are not new to Lightroom 3. They were included in Lightroom 2. But it's when we get down to these tabs towards the bottom that we get to some of the great new features. So let's have a quick look in the Detail tab. Now, there was always sharpening, and sharpening remains the same with 4 sliders there. The masking slider being great, it allows you to control where the sharpening is being applied just by holding down the Alt key and using the slider. You can see the black areas there we're masking out. The white areas is where the sharpening will be applied. So that's a really intuitive way, particularly with portraits, for applying sharpening. But the real big news in Lightroom 3, or one of the big news, is the noise reduction. This is the same as in Photoshop CS5, the new Adobe Camera Raw 6.1 plugin. And we've got a couple of new sliders. We've got the detail and the contrast slider under luminance, and the detail slider under color noise reduction. And if I zoom right in to 100%, you can see the noise in this file. This was shot at 3200 ISO, so there's plenty of noise in there. Luminance noise at the moment, and we've got our luminance noise reduction set to 0. But take a look at this. Let's just crank that luminance noise reduction up. There we go. Clean as a whistle now. And that's a 3200 ISO shot, and there's barely any noise in it at all. The other really big news in Lightroom 3 is the addition of some geometric distortion sliders. So let's just close down the detail tab there, and I'll quickly show you under lens correction. So we've got 2 tabs. We've got a profile tab and a manual tab. Let's have a quick look at the manual tab first. So we've still got chromatic aberration and lens vignetting correction, which were also in Lightroom 2. But we've now got the addition of 5 sliders under the transform menu, and these are going to allow us to correct for geometric distortion, things like pin cushion or barrel distortion, optical flaws of your lens, correcting converging verticals if you're shooting upwards at tall structures, or we can adjust for horizontal, rotate the image, or scale it down as well. So loads of great new tools which are going to allow you to overcome some of the shortfalls of your hardware. So in addition to the manual tab, we've also got a profile tab, and if we enable profile corrections, I just put a tick in the box there. You can see under the lens profile options here, we've got 3 boxes, so we can select the type of lens that we've used. Well, actually, Lightroom's picked up the lens that I've used for this particular shot from the metadata, so it knows it's a Nikon lens. It knows it's the 70-200 f2.8, and it's assigned the profile which Adobe have created. So what they've done is they've tested a whole load of camera and lens combinations, worked out the optical shortfalls of those lenses, so where it's soft, where it produces distortion, and then they can correct for all of those optical flaws all automatically. Now, if your lens isn't selected from the metadata, then you can go ahead and choose the lens manually, or if your lens hasn't been profiled by Adobe, there's a series of tools that you can download from the Adobe Labs website, which will allow you to profile your own lens. The final 2 tabs then, we've got the new effects tab. So under here we've got post crop vignetting. So if you've made a crop to your image, you can still apply some vignetting, and there's a a few style options here: highlight priority, color priority, and paint overlay. And there's also the option to add grain. So once we've removed all of that that noise out of the images with the great new noise reduction sliders, we can go and add some back in for a traditional black and white effect. Okay, so that's a really quick look at some of the controls in the develop module. So let's take a quick look at some of the ways that Lightroom 3 allows you to share your images. If we flick over into the slideshow module, just click slideshow at the top of the screen here. There's loads of great options to create your slideshow. So you can add a border to it, a stroke, a drop shadow on the side there. We've got some layout options, so you can show some guides here, determine how big you want those to be. On the overlays here, we can overlay an identity plate. So, for example, I can edit the text in there. At the moment we've got a standard Lightroom identity plate. So if I just click edit there, so I can customize this. Say type Paul's slideshow. There we go. Obviously determine the font size and the color. Click OK, and then I can reposition that, put it in the corner of my image. We can also add some titles, so we can have an intro screen and an ending screen. So again, these are all customizable. So if I add an ending plate, just double click in there to edit it. Again, so I just put the end, so that'll appear at the end of the slideshow. Make it a bit bigger. Click OK. So there we go. That's at the end, and we've got our preview and play option. So we can play the slideshow right within Lightroom. Make sure that we're happy with all of our options. And one of the great new features, which I know a lot of people interested in slideshows have been asking for from Lightroom, is we can now add a soundtrack. So we select our music from the computer, and we can fit the slideshow to the length of the music. Once you're happy with your slideshow, you can also export it to video, save it as a .avi file, and then you can easily share it on the web, sites like Facebook, YouTube, things like that. So that's one great way of sharing your work with others. Another great way is in the print module. New additions in the print module really are the addition of a whole load of new templates. So if we have a look on the left hand side of the screen here, you've got the template browser, and we've got all of these Lightroom templates. So we can do things like a contact sheet, print 4 images on a page, 2x2 cells, that type of thing. So there's a whole load of different presets in here, and these ones here, you go ahead and drag your images into the template to choose which ones you want to print and how you want to print them. And obviously you can create your own presets as well. Just click on the plus symbol here, add your own presets once you've determined exactly what options you want here. And as you can see down the right hand side, we've got a whole host of options to determine the layout, how big the images are going to be on the page, how many images you want on the page, that type of thing. So finally into the web module, the fifth and final module in Lightroom 3. And again, you've got a whole host of options down the right hand side here for determining your web galleries. And really the new additions are a whole load of new templates, just like in the print module. So there you go, you've got one with numbers there, different colours and feels. So this is allow you to, there's a nice film strip one, a Lightroom film strip one that I saw the other day, which I quite liked. So you just select which template that you want to use, and then you can export your web gallery or upload it directly to the web. So there we go, a really quick look at a lot of the new features and functions in Lightroom 3. If you're working in the RAW file format and you need to squeeze the best quality from your image files, and you want a raw workflow that's going to guide you from importing right to exporting your files, whether it be a slideshow or to an image gallery on the web, you really can't go wrong with Lightroom 3. It's available as a free 30-day trial to download from the Adobe website. So there's no reason not to give it a try. And if you're mad on RAW like us, we're pretty sure you'll be making a purchase soon. Okay, cheers.